आज अलग नहीं, हमारे प्रोड्यूसर आज वर्क फ्रॉम होम कर रहे हैं, हम बोलेंगे आज ऑन में.
We are live already.
We
We
are
are
live.
live?
वी आर लाइव? नो,
No.
हमको प्रोड्यूसर ने बताया नहीं. प्रोड्यूसर्स कहाँ हैं? वर्क फ्रॉम होम कर रहे हैं. ओ वी आर
No,
लाइव,
we are not live.
वी आर लाइव.
I don't see the producer. We are not live.
बिल्कुल.
तो प्रोड्यूसर ये क्या बात हुई कि हम यहाँ पे ऑफिस में आके काम कर रहे हैं और आप लोग घर से काम कर रहे हो, ये क्या हुआ?
ये गलत बात है.
These are not COVID times.
आज तो बारिश भी नहीं है ना.
हाँ तो बारिश भी नहीं है, धूप आ रही है
ऐसा-
बीकेसी में.
हाँ धूप है,
थोड़ी बहुत है.
मार्केट में धूप है,
मार्केट में भी धूप है,
आईटी में धूप है.
आईटी में बहुत अच्छा धूप है. क्या हो रहा है?
Surprisingly.
सिटी ने सारे प्राइस आगे कम कर दिया, आईटी
हाँ,
स्टॉक ऊपर चला गया.
exactly.
बट सिटी का तो मॉडल अपडेट था यार. इट वाज
Yeah,
नॉट अ सुबह ही हमने बोला यार, वो ऑनर भी बोला कि इट्स अ नोट वेयरइन देयर इज मॉडल अपडेट्स. इट्स नॉट लाइक
No, it's a
they
model
have
update,
changed their stance on the sector.
but they've
Yeah.
given a derating of the PE for all the companies basically, right?
Which was
So,
already derated by them accordingly.
accordingly.
They are
This
seeing
is the
TCS
second or
going
third
to
derating which they've done
2800.
actually in terms of PE.
I mean, TCS का target price 2800 is something that I just thought that
बहुत
just
कम
give
है.
it- थोड़ा सा. But like of course very subjective. They have their reasons. They mention growth as a factor, which is
Yeah, it's getting little 2.2% of the IT index. Yeah.
Why?
the IT index is up. I, you can't mention
कुछ बोला,
under
आंसर बोला, जवाब दो यार.
under ownership नहीं बोल सकते कि there's under ownership and that's why the IT index is up. I don't think so. I think we've just seen a couple of agreements come in. I think the latest one was from Infosys today, but I feel it's just under ownership at this point of time. There's no fundamental growth figure.
A lot of stocks are bouncing today, by the way.
Yeah.
So Ola second on a trot has done
Yes.
well.
मेरा एक theory है IT पे.
एक मिनट. अच्छा, we'll get second, but just let me finish this.
हाँ.
So stocks which are doing well, Ola zoomed up.
Zoomed up, yeah.
Carbon Universal zoomed up. PG Electroplast
Yeah.
zoomed up in trade. A lot of other stocks that I saw suddenly out of the blue, the stocks which are moving up in trade.
And all those stocks have been hurt also very badly.
I think that's the point.
That's one
Yeah.
of the reasons. But
क्या theory IT पे?
मेरा theory ये है कि we started seeing a fall or decline in IT before the Fed pause was coming. I think the Fed is going to cut in September, and I think that's what is happening. They started doing, picking up stocks because they're expecting rate cut to start beginning, and if that happens, then discretionary spends are coming in by the end of the year. So it's an advance kind of thing. I think it's a positioning which is happening because increasingly you're going to see the street factoring in a rate cut, 25 basis point in September. Because all the things, labor market is weak.
चलिए आप जोर से बात करो.
हाँ, मैं
क्योंकि
जोर से.
वरना ऑडियो नहीं जाता है. फिर
अच्छा,
people
ऐसा है
complain.
क्या?
हाँ.
ठीक है, तो वही करेंगे. इसको थोड़ा और ऊपर कर लेता हूँ. तो इस हिसाब से that's one of the reasons I think IT is going to pick up from now. But again, it's my theory.
Yeah.
I don't know. But Ola, last 2 days, the kind of run-up that's happening, 4% of equity got changed, delivered actually.
17.3 crore shares marked for delivery.
Yes.
The highest since its listing. Why are you
Yeah.
smiling?
Ravi is here.
Oh,
We have a guest in Bulls, Bear and Banter.
hello, not at
Hi.
all.
Hi,
This is the
Hi,
first
sir.
time we have a guest on Bulls, Bear and Banter, and we'll take 2-3 minutes of his time.
Yes.
Well, this is a privilege to have such a storied money manager on our show. Ravi, thank you for agreeing to do this.
Not at all, my pleasure.
No, I'll hold it for you, no problem. So, Ravi, 2 questions. We want to do a brief peek into your aerospace theory because we are going to do a whole show around it. So, people will want to hear it. But before that, there's so much chatter around what's happening for Indian equity markets, considering the fact that maybe there is a peace deal, maybe there isn't, maybe there are additional tariffs, maybe there aren't, so on and so forth. How do you think of investing money in such a, volatile climate?
So uncertainty is always great for entry points, right? We've been all waiting for a great entry point in the markets. If you remember when the Liberation Day tariffs were announced, that turned out to be a great entry point. And I think these particular times, which are especially bad for India, are also turning out to be a good entry point in my opinion. The positioning in the market is extreme. the macro fundamentals remain strong. So one should be looking at it only from the point of view of how much of an attractive entry point I can get, and not in terms of is this a reason to sell at all.
तो आपने लिबरेशन डे बोला, अच्छा इंडिपेंडेंस डे में भी तो हमारा अनाउंसमेंट हुआ ना जीएसटी का.
Exactly. Yes. So liberation से हमने independence ले लिया. Yes. So GST might turn out to be a little bit of a negative in the short run because one, fiscal math, we are not yet clear. Bond markets are reacting a little negatively, 10-15 bips kind of an increase. And secondly, it might actually put a pause to the spending for the next couple of months. The channels might not refill themselves considering that there's going to be a tax. I think the sooner this reaches a conclusion is better. Both the things, whether it is tariff deal or GST, what we want is clarity. We want to start doing business. We don't want to wait in anticipation of a deal or GST. So that's the only small minor negative from the very near term point of view. But otherwise, I do still feel that GST is going to be a big positive over the long term, and tariff deal is also going to pan out. It's a question of time and not if it will or not. I think the sentiment has swung too much that now in India and US are no longer strategic partners or anything. I don't think
you're written off the partnership also.
not me. I think that's the commentary.
You're saying sentiment has shifted.
Sentiment has shifted.
I don't think that's the case, and we will bounce back strongly. And suddenly, then we will be, forced to eat a humble pie on whoever is right now taking an extreme positioning. I don't think we should take an extreme position right now.
But triple cut के बाद आपको लगता है कि consumption will come back? I mean, in the sense, we have the tax cut, then the rate cut, and now GST cut, which will happen in next 1 month.
And on top of that, there will be a pay commission
Pay
next year.
next year. Eight pay commission का जो.
See, these are all great steps towards boosting the consumption, but the biggest driver will still remain, in my opinion, job creation and wage inflation. And for that, we need the private sector capex cycle going, which I do believe that we are at the inflection point that the private sector capex cycle will pick up in a big way. But it takes time, right? On converting it on the ground might still take probably a year or so, because there are many projects which are under implementation or ideation stage, which will start showing numbers on the ground in a year or so. So, yeah, I mean, the lead indicators are pointing that consumption will come back. Maybe 12, maybe 18 months down the line is the only question.
पुनीत, कभी सोचा था कि 25 साल की उम्र में रवि धरमशी को इंटरव्यू करने मिलेगा?
बिल्कुल नहीं sir. It's a pleasure, sir. So just one question. We've seen this GST cut come in, and direct beneficiaries, we know auto, EMS, consumption, durables, staples. But does that change anything for you in terms of the themes that you like? And because we've seen banks as a theme also emerge. So if you can just tell us as well as the viewers, what do you expect? How big could this be if we are looking at direct impact as well as the indirect impact as well in sectors like banks?
So I think the quantification of the impact has already been done by a lot of people. This might essentially turn out to be a stimulus to the size of between 1 to 2 lakh crores kind of a number. And from the thematic perspective, no dramatic shifts. I still believe that private sector capex will do well. As I do believe the household sector, which is essentially the real estate sector, should also start picking up. And only question mark remains is on the exports. The direct consumption will definitely, there will be a pass through, and there is I would say, demand which has not been addressed since the last 2-3 years. So that latent demand will come back into the system. And so I do feel both, one, money in the hands of the consumer, and two, them getting security about their future through jobs and wage will lead to boom in the consumption. And the segment which has been suffering the most has been the bottom of the pyramid, the small ticket items, and I think those will be the first level beneficiaries. The second level beneficiaries will also emerge out of this.
Okay, no. We have only one question on aerospace. चलो मैं तो बहुत पूछने वाला हूँ. तुम्हें पूछना है?
हाँ मैं पूछूंगा ये
नहीं,
last 5 to 10 years.
पहले थीम ये है that aerospace as a investable opportunity.
Yes.
It is now come of age even for the Indian investor. In a nutshell.
Yes.
So we are doing a whole half an hour show on this. Okay, you need to tune in for that.
Yes, that I'm
so
going to do,
don't steal the thunder of my show.
No, I'm not going to steal, but I'm going to ask you a perspective from from the ecosystem of aerospace. है बात नहीं
इनको आप दो
ecosystem पिछले 5 से 10 साल में we have seen how this entire ecosystem developed, and it started off with small industries, then medium, and now some of them are now becoming system integrators as well. How do you see this entire thing going in the next 5 to 10 years?
So, see, first of all, we need to differentiate between defense and aerospace. A lot of people, when they think aerospace, they are only thinking the opportunity which is the defense.
Yeah.
Defense is a
सब लोग शुरू उसी से करते हैं ना?
smaller pie. But the larger pie is the civil aviation, and within civil aviation, the aircraft manufacturing. So, this is a $1 trillion industry. But even if I were to remove the OEMs, the Boeing, Airbus, the 3 engine manufacturers, there are only 5 OEMs, by the way. If you leave them aside, it's still a $500 billion kind of an industry. Even if I remove the tier 1 vendors and take a look at only the tier 2 to 4 vendors, it would still be a $250 to $300 billion industry. India's share in that is probably less than 1% today, and we can possibly take away 10% kind of a market share over a 10-year period. That would mean an annual opportunity of $20 to $30 billion, and these opportunities are essentially going to be addressed by these people who have been doing casting, machining parts, precision engineering, and who have been, because the aerospace opportunity had not opened up till now, they were focused only on the auto or actually now there are multiplicity of opportunities opening up. Aerospace is only one segment. It could be, for example, semiconductor could be another area where precision engineering can be applied. So many new opportunities are opening up, but with this one, we feel aerospace has reached that tipping point from where all these businesses need to do is have the required certifications in place, get plugged into the supply chain, and give the customer the product that they want. And if they can do that, this is a great business, because once you're in for the long haul. Margins are not an issue. It's a very high entry barrier business. So yeah, I mean, I'm very excited about the fact that this opportunity is going to be addressed by small unknown companies which might become very big in the next 5 to 10 years.
We'll leave the names of the company to his show.
The names is notwithstanding, but the whole rationale. That's what I'm looking forward to. How do they think of this space, and then how do they go about investing and shortlisting things, right? Because the process is
How
as
to
important.
look at it, actually.
Yeah, I think they do it by the TriStar Fund, and I'm looking forward to. So viewers, I'll go off now, but you want to tune into this conversation with Ravi and a couple of his colleagues. Ravi and a couple of his colleagues, as we bring out the real dynamics of how to go about investing in the aerospace industry and why you should think of this. So definitely tune in for that over the next couple of days on NDTV Profit. But Ravi, more importantly, as the first time we have had a guest on Bulls, Bear and Banter, it's a very widely followed show. We love it. The viewers hopefully love it as well, because the reviews that we get are fabulous. So it's great to do this with you.
It's been my pleasure.
Thank you. Carry on, guys.
Carry on. Thank you, Ravi.
But we'll definitely put out when the show is coming out, so we'll
yes.
of course get that out as well.
So let's come back to your core, which is Ola.
Ola, yeah.
क्या हो रहा है Ola में?
Well, we were discussing it a little bit, because the up move is very strong in a very, very short period of time as well. So it's definitely very, very, very interesting to say the least. They have mentioned some strong commentary, to our colleague Tamanna as well, where she's mentioned on integration of lithium-ion batteries in the scooters that will save costs. They are looking to be a EBITDA break even in the auto segment in Q2. They are having new launches, so there are multiple triggers. The only thing which is worrying slightly is the sales pickup.
Yeah, we were looking at the sales, right?
Yes.
Means for the month of August, so far on Vahan, it's around 8,600 units which have been sold.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, Ether has 9,200.
Yeah.
And I was surprised to see Bajaj
Even lower.
even lower.
Yeah.
But TVS doing around 13,000,
Yes.
which is there. So I understand the Bajaj
Yeah.
part of it, because Shravan ka mahina Maharashtra में चल रहा था 9th तक, so sales बहुत कम थी.
Yeah.
Those can pick up before the
Festive,
Ganpati, which is happening next 5-10 days, which is there. But Ola talking about being break even in the second quarter, which requires it to have at least 25,000 units.
Yes.
8,000 से 25,000 in August, and again another 25,000 in September, which is again a festive month. Is it going to be a challenging one for them?
It seems to be, because in quarter one also, between April and June, they did 58,000. So they were well below the number that they have mentioned as break even. So they are roughly doing 18 to 19,000 a month, and that doesn't seem to be they seem to be in the bracket for a while now. They've done new launches, they've delayed some launches. That they launched this the smaller 40,000 rupee bike, but they've said that we'll focus on the existing portfolio, launch that
They
later.
come out with what S1 Pro and all
Yeah,
that this
now
time.
they've come out with a more premium version. But also what was interesting is that I was just looking at it just before we came. The premium and the mass share has essentially reversed for the company. They used to sell almost 50-60,000 bikes in a quarter, which were premium. Now that number has 50-60,000 is mass. So it basically got impacted by pricing when everybody came in with the cheaper scooters.
It also talks about
and changed,
the pricing pressure which is there in that category, right? In the sense,
now we've seen all these guys launch vehicles which are around 1 lakh. So it's not that they're selling at 80,000. TVS, Bajaj, everybody has launched 1 lakh, and the market seems to be there now in that price range. But the question is, if you're getting 1 lakh a TVS and 1 lakh a Ola, people seem to be choosing TVS and Bajaj, and that's why TVS was late in this market, but they are now the market leader.
But TVS price point is much lower than Ola, basically, right?
Yes, I mean they're very neck and neck right now. It's also about the brand name and the trust that people have in TVS and Bajaj. I think that's one of the key reasons why Bajaj is also number 2. And you mentioned about all these players, and Hero was surprising this month as well.
Again.
They've launched the Vida, the VX2 in this quarter, and very strong response is what they've gotten. So they essentially it's now become a 6-player market. Now we used to always focus on Bajaj, Hero, TVS, Ola, and Ather. Now there is Hero also, and we also see Greaves Cotton also doing some bit, but of course that's very minimal. But we now have 5 strong players market, and Hero could have that exponential growth.
Tell me one thing: they're going to start off with the battery, which is the cells.
Ola Electric,
Ola Electric, which is going to be. Won't that put in more pressure because now that the cost of that would be more brought into the P&L, so the losses are going to expand for Ola in Q2 onwards. In that sense, so the street will be looking at 2 things. One, the automotive segment, are they a bit positive or not? And the second thing is that what is the kind of losses and how well they're able to bring back, because the cost which they have incurred for putting up the entire gigafactory will have to pass through the P&L at some point in time. And as of now, it was not, right? So from the P&L point of view, you have to look at that.
The other one which was very interesting is the cell part, where they had initially planned 20 gigawatt of capacity. They would get PLI for it. Now they said, okay, we're going to stop at 5 gigawatt. Wait till we scale. So right now they are 1.5 to 2. They'll scale to 5 and stop there. But they won't get any PLI benefit for it, essentially. So that math also will have to be changed.
Oh, okay. So additional loss that will come into.
So because PLI for scooters, you saw that it was such a big impact, positive impact to the EBITDA. We're seeing that in 4-wheelers also now for Tata Motors and all. But essentially that piece will also not come in this year or next year for Ola Electric. So they will have to come out and give that clarification to the street. I think right now, the way it fell one way from 157 to 39, I think we're seeing some pullback from that. But fundamentally, there are still, and then from the last 2 days, 3 days, we've seen it go from 40 to 50. But it will still need, I think, some more clarification. 3 days, and that is, and I think yesterday also it got that pivot because of rare earth magnets. China might be looking at getting India that magnets back, export ban hata denge. If that happens, of course, it's a positive for them. So I think we saw them move across the board on 2-wheeler makers, component makers yesterday as well.
But there's also pivot which is happening with respect to the kind of lithium-ion batteries. Earlier we were all dependent on lithium-ion. Now people are talking about alternatives. They're talking about ferrite. They're talking about sodium-ion batteries, which is there. I think Reliance is working on sodium-ion battery, which is there. There are multiple chemistries which are now being worked around. And putting all eggs in one basket in terms of money into investment into lithium-ion alone is something which I think Ola is also the rethinking about it, right? What it says that 20 से मैं 5 में आ जाऊंगा, उसके बाद मैं देखूंगा. So it's basically a rethink on the strategy of putting all money into lithium-ion.
this gets a little complicated, but even within lithium-ion batteries, like, and there is NMC and LFP batteries, right? LFP is the more relevant technology.
Hmm.
Ola is currently on NMC.
Hmm.
They are on the nickel wala batteries,
Ah.
and we've spoken to
Nickel manganese.
yeah, so they are on NMC capacity right now. They feel that okay, they'll be able to translate to LFP very easily
Which will happen in this quarter
in this
onwards.
quarter. So that'll be something to watch, because once you invest in NMC, you will have to invest again in LFP, right? So that I'm not very sure how they'll be able to
But
execute very
the
quickly.
argument was that the moment they move to in-house batteries, they will start getting scale of economies, and that will improve the margins for
Yes,
them.
and they've claimed that they'll be able to reduce the prices of premium motorcycle by at least 10 to 20,000. The ones which are right now priced at 1.99 lakhs, they will come down to 1.69 to 1.79 lakhs. So that'll be something to watch. But yeah, a lot of moving factors, but definitely the street is
But
seeing
I'll
something.
ask the producers to put the link of the
Yeah.
Ola interview, which we did
Yeah.
on the show, so that people can see that. Okay, so MP Jain says, I love this show. Thank you, Mr. Jain. Ola gaining after Tamanna's visit to the factory. Yes, it's for sure.
Looks like it, yeah.
It is happening that way.
Yeah.
Abhinav is asking something on the gaming.
Yeah, this was a
Skill-based
big
gamers like
conversation,
PUBG, BGMI players earning more than 10 lakhs a month. How do you see this sector for future? Wanted to know what's Sajeet's favorite mobile game.
You want to start with? You want to first start with the last question? Yeah.
My mobile game.
Yeah.
Nothing WhatsApp. देखते जाओ, nothing else.
But
Jokes aside, yesterday's bill was a surprise for the
Yes.
real money gaming. Actually, so far the entire argument was with respect to game of skill versus game of chance, and that's where the argument was. That's where the many of the cases in the courts were, right? Like, if you're doing a poker, it's a game of skill. If you're doing a teen patti, it's a game of chance, which is there. So that was the entire argument which we were talking about. But now, what the government has just changed the game. They're saying that real money gaming is not allowed. Basically, आप पैसा दे के खेल रहे हो तो नहीं हो सकता. आप सब्सक्रिप्शन ले सकते हो, इन आप परचेसेस कर सकते हो, but in a game where you are betting or gambling, or you're expecting a reward for something that you have achieved, that is not allowed. And that is something which is going to be it seems that it will be tabled in the parliament, and at some point in time it will get passed, or it will go to a select committee. So there's some time away, but if the parliament is going to pass it, then I'm sure many of the companies are going to the court challenging this legislation.
But we've not seen that reaction on Nazara and Delta. I think if you can put that reaction as well.
Because Delta में offshore casinos hai, which is on the ship, which is parked in the sea, and you can do the casino thing. So it's happening in Goa. Goa and Sikkim are the only, I think, are one of the few states जहाँ पर ये casinos allowed है और gaming allowed है, because a lot of their revenue comes from there. But for Nazara, their entire exposure is through poker baji.
Yes.
And that company, Nazara, owns around 46.5. So they haven't consolidated the entire thing into the balance, into the P&L. It gets consolidated at the PAT level. So the losses get consolidated at PAT. So there's no impact on revenue and EBITDA for them in that sense. But they have invested roughly around 805 crores for that stake. So I'm sure that if this goes through, Nazara may have to I think make provisions for the investments that they have made. And I think they mentioned that in our interview. I think producers should put that interview here
In a bit,
here, so that people can go through the interview. He's spoken at length about what is kind of impact he sees, and how they see the entire landscape changing. But it's a landscape changing thing, because what government is now saying is that real money gaming will not be allowed. But there's a catch here. The catch is that betting and gambling comes under the state list. So it's up to the state to enforce it. So states like Goa or Sikkim may not do it, because a lot of revenue and comes from for them. But other states have to implement this so that it can be. So it's a model law which will be enacted from the parliament, but it has to be adopted and enforced by the state. So that's a big because there's a lot of revenue coming in, right? Roughly 17,000 crores of GST comes in from real money gaming on an annual basis for the government. So uska agar आप देखोगे 2/3 comes to the states, right?
Yes.
So states where this is happening. So they're going to lose that money in that sense. So I don't know whether it's going to happen or not, but yes, there is a law which has come in, and that's today Nazara is down because उनका SOTP में जो 1370 कुछ Provenance का
Valuation,
है
yeah.
वो उसका 35% is because of poker
Pokerbazi, yeah.
which is around 370 rupees or something. 370, yeah, 370 rupees odd, which is there. So you're going to see that kind of impact coming into Nazara.
Yeah.
But for Delta, I don't think it's going to be much of an impact. They were planning to go into online gaming. Now I think they will not be.
Yeah.
It's something. Okay, अगला क्वेश्चन लिख लेते हैं भाई. Protein. Stuck with upper level. Should I exit or hold?
Yeah.
I think they have recently faced some of the challenges, right, with respect to PAN card and other that.
So
project,
they
right?
wanted to. They were one of the
They wanted to be shortlisted, but they were rejected.
for
Got technical
applying
reasons.
for the PAN 2.0 project.
Yeah.
They had said that it could be a 1400 crore opportunity, but they were not even shortlisted in applying for being participant in that. We saw a strong reaction from the market there,
Yeah.
and I think right now one part of that has gone to LTI Mindtree,
Yeah.
the project. But I think that was the major theme. I think we'll have to look at and wait what could be where the growth will come from. Essentially, today, its stock is up. I don't know if there's any particular trigger. I don't think there is yet any trigger or news flow that's
You know, it
coming.
depends on what price you have taken. N,
Yeah.
he hasn't given the name, it's just an alphabet
N,
with N.
yeah.
I know I don't know what price you have taken it,
Yeah.
but you need to look at the fundamentals of the business. Do you believe in the management that they can pivot to a different business model or add more verticals to the business lines? And if that is going to be there, then maybe this is a level you may hold on to. But
Yes.
if you feel that that they are not, the management is not convincing enough, then it's your call. But go through the analyst calls, transcripts, go through various interviews, go through the P&L statement, how it's going to impact them, and then you take a informed call on this.
I think it's also if the original thesis has changed from what reason you had bought it. I think then you should really revisit and see what Saisa just mentioned on what you should do actually right now. Look at.
Ayushman Lalani is asking, will the rejig in tax structure, I'm assuming that is GST,
Tax
which he's
structure,
talking
yeah,
about,
yeah.
ensure income stability and consistent cash flows. From the household point of view, yes. मीन्स आप ये लेके चलो कि आपका अगर हाउस होल्ड का एवरेज 20,000 का है, 15 से 20,000 का हाउस होल्ड खर्चा है, उसमें 5 to 6% का तो आपको सेविंग होगा क्योंकि जीएसटी कम हो जाए. दैट्स अजम्पशन व्हिच इज देयर. तो वो कितना होगा आपका 15,000 का 5% कितना होगा मतलब 750 800 1000 से 1500 का हर पर मंथ की बात कर रहे हैं. वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट 10,000 12,000 एडिशनल इनकम कमिंग टू द हाउस होल्ड. And that's what we were asking Ravi also, ना कि consumption आएगा कि नहीं. And he is taking कि 12 से 18 महीने में आएगा जो.
हमारा तो थोड़ा जल्दी था उसका नंबर.
I was a little surprised when he said 12 to 18 months because he think कि वो आने में थोड़ा सा टाइम लगेगा. But मैं बोलने वाला था कि हमारे पास सेल्समैन है जो जल्दी बेचेगा.
वो डेमो शायद आज नहीं
करते. So Begin is asking what is the total addressable market for battery cell manufacturers in terms of gigawatt? It's a tough question. I can tell you this much, that what we are talking about battery cell, which is lithium ion and other cells which is there, the power sector is now putting in, they have to put in some 10-15% of the entire capacity as in battery cell, right, in for energy storage system. So there is a demand which is going to come in, and we are importing as of now cells. We are not self-sufficient in. So as of now there is enough of demand for cells and there is less capacity in India. So we need to work with trying to figure out कि कितना बड़ा होगा वो.
I think what interestingly, because Exide and Amar Raja both stocks,
they've been working on for last 2 years on this.
So they've working on for the last 2 years and they've given a 7-year roadmap.
Okay.
2024 में they've given the roadmap for the first time that till 2031 we will have this amount of capacity. So I think they are putting in a specific number of capacity, but the stocks are not doing very well. I think because it's taking, the gestation period is so long right now for these guys. But the opportunity is more apart from auto also. It's in power, as you mentioned. It's in telecom. That's a big BSS. It's also in data centers because they have to have that backup. So the opportunity is of course very big. This is a very developing aspect because when this power notification came in, it just expanded the scope of within a new industry. So at least it's very, very watchable.
There's a question on how optimistic is the D Street on China opening up the rare earth exports to India. It's good for some of the companies like
Ola
Ola.
dekh lo
Ola
yaar.
dekh lo.
Yeah.
उसको देख लो. To negotiate with China on this, do we know what India is offering?
Yeah.
No, we don't know.
We don't know what India is offering,
But
unfortunately.
I know in the last 3-4 months since the time I think India has been engaging with China, we have been increasing our exposure. I mean, we have been trying to do a positive engagement with China, increase opening up visas, opening up tourist visas,
Direct flights.
direct flights with China. All those things are coming in, and that's something which is interesting for.
Yeah.
Uh, from our point of view, because it's more engagement which is coming into China, because a lot of imports still come from China for
Yeah.
us.
And I think
Uh,
apart from like, because of course it'll be a big boost to auto guys, auto OEMs, manufacturers of vehicles, as well as the auto component guys. Because someone like Sona BLW has said in the con call that from 8th April we've not received any kind of heavy rare earth magnets. So we've pivoted to the light rare earth magnets. They're looking at alternate opportunities, but
does
their
it impact
clients.
performance for
It does.
other
It does.
companies?
It impacts the performance. It impacts the power of the vehicle. So essentially, if Sona BLW is working with someone in the US, and you can't provide HRE magnets to them, they'll have to look at the other alternatives and other suppliers. But it's not like they lost the business there. Sona was very compliant in saying that the business has been, of course, reduced, but the clients understand it because it's a ban that it was also in US, so we could see that impact there as well. But it does impact the performance, and while there has been a lot of conversation on the ferrite-based motors, I think the performance is something uh, that will be impacted with
Ola
low.
is talking about ferrite-based
Yes,
motors,
they want to
but I
launch it.
think
Yeah,
globally there's been a lot of work on it,
yeah.
and they've not been able to get the optimum
Yeah, because we don't see it in global, and
power.
very interestingly, TVS, Bajaj, while they're working on alternatives, and they've said that we'll of course look at it. It doesn't seem to be that anybody apart from Ola has come out and said it so aggressively, because Ola has given a timeline also. By quarter 3, they'll probably try to
It's too
integrate.
aggressive a timeline. I think
Yes,
I think
yes.
that's where I think
Because
Ola may
between
fall actually in that sense,
between a
because
quarter only
their
it seems.
timelines are
Yeah.
very aggressive and they're not able to meet those
Meet
timelines,
those timelines.
and that
Yeah.
becomes very uncomfortable for me in the
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
If you give a timeline which you can do it, if we saw that happening in expansion of
The stores. Yeah.
stores, 4,000 stores or something, and we don't even know whether it's 2,000 yet. Or not.
Yeah.
So
We don't know how many are operational, like which
Yeah.
have even sold one scooter in a month. We know that it's operational. I think that's the issue. Yes.
KYC also. Can we do a KYC about aerospace section as suggested by the gentleman? Why don't you watch that interview which Niraj is going to do with Ravi
Yeah.
Dharamshi? He tracks the aerospace segment very closely, and he's trying to build a model and how he's going to select stocks in that segment, that entire segment. And when we do that, we will inform you where, and you can watch that, and that will be it will be a very informative way of looking at the aerospace sector, because that's coming of age as we speak. I thought Delta was already into online giving through Adda 52, but they have been so beaten over the last year due to taxation computation change that it doesn't make sense to invest in it anyway. True. I think who was telling me that last quarter they shut down that online business also. मुझे किसी ने बोला ऐसे.
Might be one. We'll get them and
Once.
check.
I think they were getting into it, but I don't think they have full fledged into that segment.
I think one thing which I want to just talk about is Hyundai.
Hyundai.
The
Hyundai also went up,
the
actually.
move on that, and again it's
Oh.
up 4% today. It's very interesting because the IPO came at 1900 odd. The stock has gone all the way down till 1590. Right now it's around 24-2500. And while the valuations are largely comparable with peers, it just shows
Around 20% jump
yeah,
हो गया ना.
yeah,
IPO
and
price.
Abhi now it's like in line, and the IPO is so huge, 27,000 crores. The subscription, of course, wasn't as much as the numbers that we saw for
And
something like.
the numbers were not as great actually.
Yes, I think it's just very like the street just seems to be rewarding it based on, I think, like what it could be this year. That they've given a very aggressive timeline on launches till 2030, 2025 launches. They also have an investor day coming up in October. But I was just surprised at how uh, apart from Mahindra, also their street is rewarding that based on what has happened with GST. But because before that we started that move happening on Hyundai. But very interesting of that early reward of something
Puneet,
like
tell
that.
me one thing. We are talking about GST impact on auto companies from a portfolio point of view. And I'm not talking about any sales speeches here.
Yes.
Just look at just look at
Yeah.
plain cars, and if it's coming to you at a market price, and there's an impact of GST cut which comes in, how competitive this space or this segment becomes, and within that segment, which company has the maximum portfolio of cars or variants, which is which is likely to perform better.
Yeah, I think one of the most obvious ones has to be Maruti because we saw the reaction. They operate 9 brands within that small car space: Baleno, Celerio, Alto, all these, and it's been depressed for so long. 6 years, 2019, so we've seen that this segment is nobody has been buying smaller cars essentially in this time because the costs are 50%, 50, because of airbags, other safety features, and all. So I think they are definitely a beneficiary. I think for Hyundai, they have these small cars, they have the i10, they have other variants in that, and I feel someone like a Mahindra is getting rewarded because that compact SUV space also will get that positive benefit. Starting from 6 lakh, going to 11, 12 lakhs, all these players, and for Hyundai also one of the biggest vehicles. And I didn't know this until very recently that while Creta forms 1/3 of the sales, almost 25% of the other sales apart from Creta is from one model only,
Which is I20
Venue.
venue. Okay.
And I was, while you know that the model does well, it's becoming 20, it's almost getting to that stage where Creta is in that space. And
And Creta has been hit by Sonnet
yeah, and exactly
because
because,
and that's a
and
parent company
parent,
also
yeah,
cannibalizing into that market, right? अगर
and
Sonnet नहीं होता
yeah,
तो
yeah,
Creta sales would have been much better,
much better.
actually
But
better.
it just seems that, and it's also based on the Hyundai platform, also very surprisingly. But with Seltos, with Sonnet, Kia of course has a very good portfolio. But Venue is starting to be that space, just a notch below Creta, and they seem to be getting a lot of market share there. So it's because their market is also expanding. We are not seeing कि आप Tata से market ले रहे हो या Mahindra से ले रहे हो. Both of them are doing well, and so is Hyundai. But Maruti has brands so many. They have the Fronx there, they have Brezza there, and they are also doing well, but not as much as you would expect because यहाँ पे क्या models कम है for Hyundai. But
Ignis वगैरह भी उसी brand
yeah, Ignis also and
उसमें आता
everything.
है.
But it just shows that one brand, if done well, if shown properly, it can just attract a huge customer base.
But it's
And I
also a
think
risk, right?
there is a risk, of course.
Look
Yes.
at Honda. I mean,
Yes.
it was a two model company kind of thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
We
yeah.
haven't seen a diversification of brands for Honda.
Yeah.
Though people vouch for the kind of quality and the car which happens there, right?
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is that that's something which we should be uh, you know uh, street should be looking at, because suddenly you see that market share going off
Yeah.
from a top brand
Yeah,
because
yeah.
there is a competition which comes and eats into it.
Yeah, yeah. Or delayed launches also. Like for Tata, Altroz, they waited 5 years for the second refresh, and by the time it came, they were 1 year. Last year they lost market share in that segment. Now they're trying to gain it again, but the customer seems to be still away and not that. So it's very critical of when their launch comes as well. So the reason I mentioned Venue is also because we could see an upgrade coming in into the next 2 to 3 quarters. That'll be something to watch. But yeah, very interesting. I think one question from Sadanand Sinha, view on RTA stocks, CDS and NSDL in camps. Let's take that first because
Yeah, financial sector stocks will perform better because of the kind of activity which is happening.
yes,
But in my view, NSDL is much better placed than CDSL and CAMPS. Not because it's one of the largest, but
yeah,
because its revenue base is diversified and the settlement and transaction revenue base is a very small proportion of the total revenue for them.
okay,
So, especially capital markets, because it's not linked to the turnover.
yeah,
It's there. It comes. There's a lot of recurring revenues come for NSDL,
yeah,
but this portion as compared to CDSL, because look at that, 3.9 or 4 crore active demat accounts versus 15 crore for CDSL,
yeah.
which is there, right? So if there's a volume fall in the
demand,
market,
yeah.
the 15 crore has a much bigger impact on your revenues and profitability as compared to 3.9,
Yeah.
and they are into multiple segments. So in that sense, camps is also good, but it also depends upon active portfolio portfolio. How
But
active is the number of accounts they have and all. That's because revenue तो उसी में आता है ना, हर transaction में आता है.
Yeah, yeah,
transaction कम होंगे तो आपके revenue hit होगा basically.
But we saw that very big reaction on NSDL after it got listed, and I think you spoke about it in this show itself also. Is that now at par with valuations with CDSL, or is it still some way to go? I mean, depending on growth.
I think it almost
Almost
at
par,
par.
yeah, because we've seen a
मैंने अभी
sideways.
last 2-3 दिन में नहीं देखा,
Yeah,
पर
it's
उस
at
समय
11.92.
when it was running up,
Yeah.
from market cap point of view, it was almost the same kind of thing which it had,
Yeah.
which is there. But we saw a lot of existing institutional investors of NSDL not participating in the IPO because they thought 800 was a very low price. It's
Yeah.
good to list at that price and give a upside to the
Upside to
investors,
investors, yes.
but they thought the worth is much more. So 6 महीने के बाद पता चल जाएगा ना, तब आपका लॉक इन शुरू होना, पहला लॉक इन 30 डेज में, फिर 90 डेज में, फिर 6 महीने में, यू गेट टू सी हु ऑल आर एग्जिटिंग ना. एंकर इन्वेस्टर्स पता चल जाएगा कि कौन कौन निकल रहे हैं.
Correct.
Very,
so know your markets more is asking what's your view on September month growth. It's a very wide question.
September
month growth.
In what form?
Yeah, he's not specified that. I think he's asking of what is the within. We've spoken about autos a lot right now.
Let's look at the consumption basket and let's look at each of them. Right? Autos. If the GST meet happens by mid-September, then you're going to see towards the end of September and October to be good for autos. Consumption wise also the same thing which is there. So your Q2 is almost written off in that sense because जो bump up आएगा festive की वजह से इस बार नहीं आएगा वो थोड़ा सा आएगा पर it's not going to be the big bump up which we are talking about. Then you have which are the other growth sector. आपका auto हो गया, आपका FMCG हो गया, ठीक है.
I think one of the things was banks also. Do you think it coming back aggressively, or will that probably a quarter after these all segments start coming back?
Credit growth is something which is supposed to pick up, but it all depends upon consumption also, right?
Yeah.
You've already seen 100 basis point cut in rate, but you're not seeing that kind of pickup coming in. Secondly, institutional credit growth is also very slow because private capital is not picking up much.
Yeah.
So ये सब चीजें थोड़ी वो है. But FY20 means you see some of the new reports of the brokerages and you get to see कि सब ने अब FY27 के नंबर्स डालना शुरू कर दिया है. जबकि हम we closed just first quarter of FY26. So that gives you an indication कि भाई I don't have hope in FY26. I need to justify it using FY27 numbers. वो 27 मार्च नहीं है, जून सितंबर की बात कर रहे हैं लोग. So that's a growth. For 12 to 18 months, people have already factored in कि भाई the growth is now going to come after 12 to 18 months. और क्या है? Do we have any more questions? Which is there? There's a question on Adani Ports big picture coming. Adani Ports has been doing some. The growth has been good every month. I think,
I mean it's very trackable also with the volumes.
Because they give a monthly volumes which is growing on a month-to-month basis. So I don't think there's a issue. And I think few days back there was institutional activity in Adani Ports, high delivery which was happening there. So that's also something which is there. और कुछ बचा है? Do we have any other questions, or else we will wrap up the show?
You want to add one line on defense? We saw that HL bid come in.
Yes.
You should mention it.
Yeah, finally. I think 97 aircrafts. It was coming for last 6 months. Finally, I think the government has given the nod. So the process is first DAC approves it, and then it goes to the Union Cabinet. The Union Cabinet approves it, and then it goes, and the Ministry of Defense then gives the order to HAL. So the Cabinet seems to have approved it. So the order has to come in. So it will come in within a month or so. But this will take the total fleet of 83 plus 97, 180 LCA Mark 1A Alpha, which is there. The next big one is the prototype which is underway, which is Mark 2, which is expected to come by the end of the year. The prototype is supposed to come by the end of the year, and the order should come by early next year, which is there. So that will be another big one which will come in there. This order comes on the back of light combat means helicopters Prachand order which was 62,700 crores.
Yeah.
And then Sukhoi, 12 Sukhoi order which has come in. I think they already have 1.82 lakh crores of order book,
Yeah.
book which is there.
But I think the biggest question has been on engines, on what
Engines,
happens.
yes. So
So this will have the 404 or 414. I'm not sure.
LCA Mark 1 will have 404,
404.
and LCA Mark 2 will have 414 G engines.
Yeah.
But currently, they've also got a big engine order of 25,000 crores for Sukhois, right?
Yeah.
Which they're going to produce, and it's 57% Indian content in it. And they're working with Midani, which is also listed.
Yeah.
To increase the content from 57% to higher number.
Okay.
So Midani is going to get some kind of orders from that 25,000 crores of engines.
Yeah.
But LCA Mark 1A will have a lot of contribution from private sector, unlike the earlier, because currently there are only 40 LCAs flying. So you're talking 180 more coming in. उसमें आपको L&T होगा, VM होगा, टाटा एरोस्पेस होगा, there will be Alpha Tobot होगा. So they are making the entire stuff. Plus avionics will come from SR radars and others, where BL, BDL, everyone will be participating in it. So this entire ecosystem 180 thing, 180 aircraft or fighter jets which you're talking about will bring in a lot of businesses for allied companies which is there.
Yeah.
So that's something. It's roughly 1.5 lakh crores of pending orders in the book pipeline for HAL.
Definitely.
And we're not even adding AMCA in it.
Yeah. वो तो अभी
वो बहुत दूर है.
दूर है. But yes, thank you so much for joining in, sending us your questions. We've got a late appreciation. Show is getting better day by day. Wishing you guys a lot of success. Thanks so much.
Thanks
so much for tuning in. I'm pretty sure your name is not Warren Buffett, but if you're the original one, thanks so much for watching. And we'll be back tomorrow with a lot more. Harsh will hopefully be back, and so will Mr. Niraj sir. But thanks so much for joining in, getting us your questions.
And we leave at markets about 25,000.
Yes, hopefully we stay there. But thank you for joining.